let's do hot takes on things I probably tweeted about in the past couple of weeks and then promptly forgot about. And Den's going to remind me what they are. I have not seen these in advance. What are we talking about? Right. So, okay, this is a tweet that says 6 million people could die in the next 4 to 6 years if PEPFAR AIDS programming does not resume. Yeah, George Bush started a program to help AIDS victims around the world. It's one of the only great things he actually did. And because Trump is revoking funding from all these overseas programs, we are not helping people who are suffering from these diseases. And that means 6 million people could die because of it. And again, what are Republicans who are pro-life saying about all this? Nothing. This is what they wanted. We were, I know, it's very much the I told you so, but we told you so. We told you this would happen. We read Project 2025. We knew they were going to put people in mortal danger if they got elected. And the anti-abortion zealots are like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me if people with AIDS die. I only care about fetuses. And then they elected these people. But just remember, pro-life is a misnomer. They do not care about life. They don't care about the living. They care about non-existent fetuses. And as soon as you're born, they don't give a damn about you at all. Oh, that makes me mad. All right, what's this video? This is from David Barton saying he can historically prove that the due process clauses in the Bill of Rights come from the Bible. Let's see.
Historically, I can show you that John 8:10 is the reason we have the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. Federal practice procedure, federal law book, what we call the due process rights. The right to confront your accuser came from John 8:10, where Jesus gave that right. Also, the right to compel witnesses on your behalf, Proverbs 18:17. The right to speak in your own defense, Acts 22:1. Now, that's Bible passage, but that doesn't get people saved. No, you're making disciples. Look at all the economic teachings Jesus had on the free market. Luke 19, Matthew 20, Matthew 25. Look at 1 Timothy 5:8, 2 Thessalonians 3, all economic passages.
This is what David Barton does all the time. He finds one little out of context thing, and then his claim is, see, this is where the founding fathers got the idea from, even though the idea was used by other countries in other ways. It's not like Jesus, it's not like the Bible writers were the first people to ever talk about any of these issues. But Barton just pulls it out. There is no thing connecting what the Bible says to what the founding fathers wrote. There's no citation back to the Bible. They're not doing it because it says it in the Bible. The Bible says a lot of stuff, and all of it is mostly ignored by the founding fathers. Just because there might be some overlap doesn't mean the Bible is the foundation of our country. But again, David Barton is not some radical crank who gets ignored. He is someone who is very powerful as an ideas guy among conservatives, and they use his arguments to say, all right, well, then we live in a Christian nation. Everything he says is debunkable, and yet they keep listening to him because they don't care about the truth. It's so frustrating.
Historically, I can show you that John 8:10.
All right, this is Pete Hegseth, who should not be the Secretary of Defense, has now hired his brother to play a role in the Pentagon. But, you know, DEI and hiring people of color, that's a problem. But apparently Nepo Baby here, he gets to... I love Chris Hayes' tweet here. They fired the black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for being woke, and they hired this guy. It just shows you none of these people actually care about DEI. They don't care. They don't care about affirmative action or whatever they claim it is. They use that to just get all the black people out of there, get all the brown people out of there, and let's replace them with the white people who are related to us, the ones that share our ideology, not the ones who are good at their jobs. No, can't have that. That's the way Republicans work. It's a cult. It's so messed up. Don't believe, anytime you hear the word woke in a seriously used way, that person should instantly lose credibility with you. Oh, this is Megan Hunt. A quick word about Megan Hunt. She is a state senator from Nebraska, openly atheist, got elected. This is her second term in office, which means once she's done, I think in 2026, she's term limited out. And I don't think she's planning to run again for anything right now. I hope that's not true. But she's been one of the best voices of reason in the Nebraska legislature. Remember, Nebraska doesn't have a House and a Senate. They just have their Senate. And she is outnumbered by conservatives. Like, they have radical right Republicans running the Nebraska government with a Republican governor. They have a handful of Republicans who are not totally extreme, but that's the best they can do. But meanwhile, the question has always been, well, if you're a Democrat, even if you're nonpartisan technically, but if you're really a Democrat or at least a liberal, what do you do if you're in the state Senate at that point? Because you don't have the power to get the votes. And what she has done that I do admire is that she's basically thinking she has a platform. She can make these speeches. She could speak out against injustice. And she has been doing that for years. And I adore her for it in a respectful way. And this is one of the things, this is one of her speeches. Go ahead and play it, and then we could talk about it.
I see the watch you have. I see the belt you wear. I've worked in fashion for 20 years. I know what I'm looking at. I've seen the car you drive. I've seen the lake houses you have. I've seen, the 4-car garage you have. So let's talk about what you're really saying here. Am I asking you to forego your lifestyle that, yes, you have earned? No. I also like nice things. I would love to someday have a lake house. I also want an Hermes belt. I also want an IWC watch, this and that. I'm an entrepreneur too, because I like nice things and I want to be in control of my earning and my money, just like you. But let's talk about the actual math that we're talking about. Under this law that the people passed, workers earn 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. So if we're talking about a grocery store, a liquor store, a instrument store in Columbus, what are your workers earning? Are they earning $15 an hour? Are they earning $18, $20? Are they earning $30 an hour? Let's be generous to you, Rolex wearing man, and say your workers are earning $30 an hour, which we know they're not. And those workers would have to work 30 hours to earn 1 hour of paid sick leave. So let's say they earn $30 an hour, work 30 hours to earn $30 off. And you're walking around with your Rolex watch and your expensive Porsche with your lake house, saying that if you have a worker who works 30 hours, you can't give them $30? I'll walk up to you right now and you'll give me $30 if I ask for it. I know that's right. If I said, will you take me to lunch? Will you get me some drinks? Man, I drink 2 drinks. That's $30. If you go to the wrong cocktail bar. So the boo-boo, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm so sad, I'm going to go out of business. Be serious. There are real small businesses like mine, like many of yours as well, that are competing with large corporations that get massive tax breaks, that get massive discounts on benefits. The current system is already favoring big business, and this amendment just does more of that.
Yeah, I think, as she's saying, the people passed an amendment that would give people a certain amount of paid time off for every 30 hours worked, and there was a bill to overturn the will of the voters, and that's what she was speaking about. Again, does it make an impact? Is it going to change the outcome of the vote? Maybe not. But if you are a state senator and you're outnumbered, you can at least put it out there. You understand why this is stupid. The people should understand that, even if they may not see that live. Maybe they see the clip she posts online. This, by the way, is also what I appreciated about Cory Booker's, it's not a filibuster, but it was a long speech that he gave. Does it change anything? Does it stop any legislation? No. But maybe it gets some headlines. And maybe people realize, oh, there are people speaking out against this administration and highlighting all the grift and what Republicans are doing to ruin your life. And maybe it galvanizes them in a way nothing else does. Maybe. That's the upside to doing it. She's been fantastic at it. I don't want to see her leave government later. I hope she doesn't. But anyway, that's Megan Hunt. This is, it's hard to see this at the bottom. This is, I forgot who Brad Schimmel was, but he was saying that, go ahead and play the clip. We'll talk about it.
I'm troubled that only a quarter, the 90 million Christians in America, I'm troubled that only a quarter of the people in America are Christians. deeply troubling for the future of our nation.
So this is the guy who was running for Supreme Court in Wisconsin. He lost that race, thankfully. But he was making a pitch for why people should vote for him. And he said he was deeply covered that only a quarter of the people in America are Christian. Again, that's just a lie. First of all, if it was a quarter, that's still a lot. But actually, if you look at the Pew Research Center's data, remember they did that massive study recently, it's actually 62% are Christian. Just because he doesn't think they're the right kind of Christian doesn't mean they're not Christian. But this is the guy who was running to take the Wisconsin Supreme Court and turn it into a conservative-leaning court. And thankfully, voters in Wisconsin said no to that, thank goodness. So at least one liar got punished for getting the Elon Musk endorsement. Oh, you know what? This is an interesting one. The West Virginia legislature, I think I had made a video about this. They were talking about a bill that would have said the Bible is inerrant and it's the basis of our laws and it's the basis of our history. And it was a symbolic resolution, but it was a bad one. And I know I talked about that at the time. But again, this happens to a lot of bills, but thankfully, time ran out. They had not passed it, so the bill is dead. Thank goodness. I mean, is it good news? Yeah, I guess. I don't feel like it's good news to reward laziness. I don't want to celebrate that necessarily. I'm still disturbed by the fact that Republicans in West Virginia thought this might be a good bill to propose in the first place. But at least that one is dead until they bring it up next time. This is fun. So I just mentioned in that Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a race where every single election seems to come down to the wire. It's a handful of votes in a state of millions of people. And that's why that Supreme Court race was, it felt like a coin flip. And just hours before Brad Schimmel, that conservative candidate, lost, and he lost by a lot. This is Hank Kunneman, who is a Christian self-proclaimed prophet, saying the following. Go ahead.
But here's what we have to also understand. God and his throne is righteousness and justice. The enemy only perverts it or counterfeits it. So what's the enemy trying to do? He's trying to bring unrighteousness and injustice. And what we have to do is take our spiritual authority and begin to get our rightful place. But I want to say this about Wisconsin very quickly. Brett Favre went up there. He's a friend of mine. I know Brett personally. He's a great friend. And he helped to turn the election around. And I believe that there is something different in Wisconsin. You know, they're not the Green Bay Packers for no reason at all. And I think they're going to start sending some of this liberal garbage, including these judges, a packing.
And then that dude lost. So Brett Favre lost, Kunneman lost. And again, this is the way he works. He's never going to address the fact that he got it wrong, that he said, oh, God's sending a message here. And then the message turns out to be the opposite one. Kunneman just relies on the fact that his followers are dumber than he is and will forget everything he says 2 seconds after he says it.
But here's what we...
Yeah, this is the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. If you look at that map, which was shared by this senator, it was shared by Ben Wickler, who runs the Democrats in Wisconsin, in every single county, as you could see in Wisconsin, in every precinct, the share of the vote compared to the presidential election, it got more Democratic compared to how people voted in the presidential election. And it's all pointing in the blue direction. And lovely juxtaposition right there. This one, back to Elon Musk. Remember, Elon Musk was saying, I'll give $1 million to you if you vote for Brad Schimmel. I'll give $1 million to be, maybe not if you vote for him, but like wink, wink if you vote for him. But if you help me get the vote out. And what Wickler said is Elon Musk has committed a blatant felony by offering money for this. And it's an attack on our democracy. And Wickler was calling for the attorney general to arrest Musk for this. I was hopeful that maybe they would do something. And the attorney general did say, I'm going to go after him for this. I don't know the legal reason why that argument failed. But even the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which, by the way, 4-3 liberal majority, they just dismissed that lawsuit. So they didn't go after Elon Musk. He got away with it because, again, Republicans get away with everything. And this is a good response from Rex Parker. Just because he sucked at buying votes doesn't mean he shouldn't still be arrested for it. I know, like, that's the thing about these Republicans in power. They're breaking the law every day. When Trump is like, tariffs are off, but he tells his inner circle before he does it so they can make money off of what he's doing, that should be illegal. That is illegal, but who's going to go after them? Like, if you have no one willing to arrest these people, if you have no one willing to go after them for breaking the law, what's the point of the law? It doesn't matter anymore. He's too rich to be held accountable. I mean, they're all too rich to be held accountable, but the scary thing is you don't even have to be rich. Trump let the January 6th rioters off the hook. Most of them are not rich. They're just dumb. But he's like, you broke the rules, but you did it for me, so I'll let you off the hook. So it's not just rich. It's having a conservative ideology, which means you don't have to pay any repercussions for the bad stuff you do. That's what the lesson is. That's the moral lesson conservative Christians want everybody to know. This is a local one. This is fascinating for me. So I live in a suburb of Chicago, and it historically used to be a very red area. Chicago, famously blue all the time. But around Chicago, not always the case. Now, my area has turned Democratic in recent years, but we actually had local elections last week for all sorts of city councils, school board, all those elections. And the amazing thing is in my county and surrounding counties, the Republicans failed hard. Like, the Democrats ran together. They ran as slates of candidates, not just one individual at a time. They said, listen, we're the 4 Democrats, vote for us. Whereas the Republicans are like, Republicans? We don't know who Donald Trump is. Ignore the picture of me at a MAGA rally. I'm just running by myself for the school board. And voters saw through it. And you could see from the tweet here, the DuPage County, outside of Chicago, the DuPage County GOP, in an area that Trump won, is now seeing Democrats took over even Republican areas. And you could see at the top here, hey, I'm the chair of the DuPage Democrats. We're leading in 48 of 49 partisan races. And in that 49th race, we're only down by 35 votes. Here's an update for you. That 49th race, once the early votes came in and the mail-in ballots came in, the 49th one, the Democrats won that one too. It was just a clean sweep. Not only did like one of the most MAGA mayors outside of Chicago get booted, the second biggest city in Illinois outside of Chicago is Aurora. And that is the mayor of Aurora is a black Republican who ran for governor and had the endorsements of all the MAGA people back at the time. Well, he was running for re-election as mayor. This time it's a nonpartisan race. No one likes that guy either. He got booted as well. So just a wonderful day for Democrats around Illinois, which was just, man, after all these losses at such high levels, it is kind of nice to see this groundswell of support for Democrats happening. And especially happening at the local level, which is where most of the decisions are going to impact us directly. So, yay.